Namaste everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House. The ongoing sessions are on Bhagavad Gita from an Advaita perspective. Offered by Bindoji. We are on chapter 4. And listening to the replays for the last few rooms will definitely provide more connectivity because this is a series that is connected to the transformation to Yajna, from the transformation of Yajna towards Jnana. The replays of the rooms are available in Clubhouse. You can access them in the house, or you can go to Advaita Retold channel, where the talks are uploaded almost on a regular basis, I think the next day. So you can access them there, or you can access them in the Apple Podcast and Spotify links that is shared in the chat. There's also a book that has been penned by Artemisia, The Imaginary Door, which is available in Amazon, and you can glean insights that Bindoji has shared in various rooms prior to these regular classes. And the sessions continue on a 5-day basis, Monday to Friday, 8:30 p.m. IST. And on Sunday, we have the open rooms. With that brief introduction, I'm going to close the chat and hand raising when Bindoji is conducting the class, after which we'll open up those channels for any Q&A or discussions. As always, thank you, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. My invocation. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamsha Rishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purana Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loga Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutravashi Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti Murti Veda Vipagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Guru Bhyo. The Gita Dhyana Shlokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvandi Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapadakramō Panishadai Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgadena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam na vidussura suragana Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha Devaya tasmai namaha. Om. The Sunday's class, Yash had a request on the 26th verse, which was not very clear because of certain technical terminologies which I had used. Those portions alone, I'll explain it for a better understanding. The verse is on the Indriyas and the Yajna. Srotradini Indriyani Anye Samyamagnishu Juhvati. Shabdadin Vishayan Anyaha Indriyagnishu Juhvati. The two type of Yajna or Yajna. One is Srotradini Indriyani. The sense organs, the Indriyas, they are being oblated or given into the fire of Samyama Agnishu. Samyama means Yama, Yamas, Dama, Uparatikti Diksha. All of them. Into that is the Yajna happening. So the fire is Shama, Dama, etc. Whereas what is being offered or oblated is in Shrotradi, the sense of hearing, not the sound. The sense of hearing, the sense of vision, the sense of touch, like that, they are all being given as a yajna to the 4 controlling acts. Yama, Dama, Shama, Dama, Uparati Titiksha. And the second one is Shabdadin Vishayan. There, what is being offered is not the sense organs per se. When a sound is being heard, that sound, when it is being heard, it is not seen as a object of sensory attachment or, desire. They are seen as like the flies which are getting attracted into the fire and getting burnt. So the way in which Agni, the Shrotradi Vishayan, Shabdadi Vishayan, the sound objects like sound, etc. Sound means all the five sensory objects from the external world. They are coming towards you to get burned in the sensory organs. The sensory organs are not you. You are not the sensing agent. You are an akarta here. You are not the doer or the desirer or the individual in the body. You are the Atma, which is a non-doer, non-enjoyer. So when you are a non-enjoyer, you are seeing this in actions, sound falling onto the ear as a fire consuming the sound in the form of a yajna. Now these are the inversion. One is the outward thing, that's the other one. One group renounces through restraint, samyama, whereas the other engages through consecrated offering into Indriya Agni. Implications differ profoundly, and both are Brahma Karma Samadhi. Please understand, both are Brahma Karma Samadhi because there is no attachment or sensual enjoyment happening in both the cases. One is a sadhaka, the first one, who is offering sense organs into control, restraint. So Samyama Agni is the restraint, the restraining activity. So the sense organs are being offered as restraint. When they are being restrained, it is getting burned for the sadhaka. The other one is a Jnani, Jivan Mukta. So those who are primary sadhana is going through restraint of sense faculty in the samadhama nishtas. That is what is the first category. By offering the senses, now the senses become like the ghee and the grain, etc., which is normally offered into the fire of the real fire of a yajna. Here, the senses become the havis. Havis means the oblation. Into the fires. What are the fires? The fires are the restraining forces, external and internal. Then, uparati, withdrawal and forbearance when these things are happening. So these four are the restraining, fires which are there at the disposal for a sadhaka. So what happens is that the practitioner performs a yajna of inner purification. By burning away the Vishaya Sakti, means the sense attachment or the senses going towards the sense objects. In between the restraints are there. Therefore, they become the fire from the sense object, senses going toward the world outside, which is the sense objects. So Vishaya Sakti, and Vishaya Sakti or the attachment toward the senses object is the fuel for samsara's continuation. There the enjoyment comes, the doership comes, and then papa punya comes, and then Punarjanma comes. This is the sadhana path of an aspirant for jnana. He is trying to do a chitta shuddhi by viveka vairagya established as a mumukshu, who withdraws the senses from the objects through shama, dhamma, uparati, titiksha as a precondition of atma vichara. So the samyama yajna clears the field for arising tattvajnana in the case of a sadhaka. The samyama fire is shamadama uparati titiksha. They consume what? The fuel of adhyasa, the superimposition which is result of blind engagement with the sense objects. That gets nullified by this offering, and the outward object-directed movement of the chitta that perpetuously re-establishes the dehatma buddhi, the identification of the body as this atma, that is being controlled by this activity. And in the second case, the others offer sense objects into the fires of senses. Now, who are these others who offer the sense objects into senses? How does this constitute as a yajna rather than mere sensory indulgence? The answer has to be seen from two different levels. The first level is a upasaka, not a sadhaka. Please understand the difference between sadhaka and upasaka. Upasakas perform certain specific inner yajna in which each sense experience is consciously offered as an oblation to the Brahman on which they are doing the upasana. And they know that Brahman is residing not everywhere, but as a antaryami, or the inner controller of each of the sense organs. That is the Brahman they consider and do the upasana. So the antaryami, or the inner controller, is Brahman. And Brahman is consciousness. And every sense organ is filled with what you call awareness or consciousness. So therefore what happens is that when a sense object is coming in contact with the sense organ, the Brahman, which is the fire, Brahmagno, that into that Brahmanahutam, that is being this Upasaka offers as the one who is offering what? The Brahmarpanam. What is that outside as objects are also Brahma only. So he doesn't see that as a separate indulgence. In each indriya it is being offered, whether it is sound, touch, hearing, whatever it may be there. So when a hearing a sound, shabda, is heard by the practitioner or the upasaka, he offers the shabda, the sound, as a havis, oblation, to the fire which is Brahman fire in the sense of hearing. It is not the ear which we please understand. The ear is only an orifice for the presence through which this can enter into the sense organ. But sense organ is in between the mind and the ears. It is actually residing in Atma itself. Therefore, Ch04-Agni is understood as the divine fire present in the hearing. The Atma that dwells in the ear as a Adhishtadri. So the place where it is being offered, the sound is coming into the ear, and that is the place where the yajna is taking place. And this transforms every sensory experience into a conscious yajna, a continual offering of phenomenal world into the divine fire of consciousness or awareness, dwelling as an antaryami in each organ. That is as the upasaka is concerned. But at Jnana Nishta, Jivan Mukta also does the same thing. The difference is that the Jivan Mukta's Chitta or the Chetas is Jnanavastita. It is established in the knowledge and offers all sense objects into the fires of senses. The onslaught of the sense objects coming from all directions simultaneously, because he has a totality, a view of totality. It is not that he is looking at individual activity. He is recognizing all Vishayas, all inputs as Brahman. And that becomes Brahma Havihi for him. All of them are in the form of Brahman, actually as Brahman only. And all Indriyas are fires of Brahman, Brahmagni. So he considers the sense organs as Brahmagni, and every sensory encounter is a simultaneous Brahma Yajna. The Jivan Mukta does not withdraw from sense objects like, say, the sadhaka who is doing a samyama, the first group of people, but engages with them as Brahman, offering into Brahman's fire. At yajnenaiva upajihvati. There, his approach is that he doesn't see anything separate from Brahman. He is an akarta. So there is no experience which is my experience in his case. Because the ego is dissolved. So there is no individual thing that I am listening, I am hearing everything. He is seeing the body as a object of the world into which the sense objects are also approaching, or their respective sense orifices. So this is the two different yajnas which are being explained by Shankaracharya differently from the other commentators. And I have resorted to some of the sub-commentaries who have commented on the Shankara's thing to codify and bring it together as a summary of all of their views together. So now we will move to our regular verse, which is the 28th verse we have to start today. So let us go to the 28th verse. 28. Sarvani Indriyani. It's over. Now 28. Dravya Yajna is the category. There is a 5 Yajna category. In this verse, Krishna is talking about the 5 Yajnas. 25 and 27 presented Yajnas organized around the mode of offering, external Devata offering. First one, sensory engagement in the second, restraint and comprehensive offering, Indriya, Prana, Jnana, Dipita. Now, in the 28th, fifth, the organizational principle itself, by cataloging the yajnas and their substantive content and instrument. What is offered and through what discipline. The verse presents 5 categories in rapid list-like enumeration, and it is sealed by a characterization of the practitioners. Yajnavataha samsita vrataha. The ascetics sharpened woes through which they do it. So, a deliberate enumeration that demonstrates Catholicity of the Yajna framework. No path, no discipline, no form of sincere spiritual practice falls outside the purview of Yajna. And therefore, outside karma samagra pravilalinam, the principle which was discussed in the 23rd verse, is not merely a list but a philosophical argument. The diversity of genuine sadhana paths is affirmed and validated as yajna, all converging towards jnana yajna, which is the final 33rd verse. So, dravya yajna, tapo yajna, yoga yajna, tatapare, swadhyaya yajna, yajnascha, yatayaha, samsitaha, vrata. Dravya yajna. Dravya means material or matter. So, dravya yajna is a material sacrifice. The yajna of material offering. Offering of external material substances like anna, dhana, vastu, bhumi as acts of dana, a charity giving, or as oblation or a ritual fire like havis. This is the most externally visible and materially concrete form of yajna called the dravya yajna, the wealth offering, food sharing, annadana, etc. The ritual dravya yajna, offering of ghee, the clarified butter, soma, grain, into sacrificial fire, as prescribed by the Shruti, Shrauta Sutras. The Karma Kanda ritual sacrifice is the ritualistic yajna. Then there is a social yajna or a communal charitable yajna. That is also dravya yajna, which is categorizing as dhana, offering of food, wealth, shelter, knowledge to the needy and worthy. They fall under the smarta form of material, smriti. The dravya yajna is the starting point of the basic yajna hierarchy. The practitioner who has not yet internalized this principle of yajna but performs it through external material offering is nonetheless engaged in the mama vartma anuvartande manushya partha sarvata. That is that. Everything is my path. Krishna has said that. So even these things are his direction towards him. The external offering represents the first loosening of parigraha, which is as per Takta Sarva Parigraha, which was mentioned in the 21st verse. So the offering material wealth is the first step towards recognizing that no material object truly belongs to the offerer. Na mama. I don't know how many of you have attended yajna. Every yajna, the offerer, the one who offers, puts that into the fire, whether it is the clarified butter or grains or, cooked, what they call it as nivedya or puja materials. They offer into the fire. At the same time, I am grihyam danam samarpayami namama. They will say that I am offering these grains, which is not mine, means it is Brahman's. Like that. In this sense, the Dravya Yajna is the outermost circle of the Yajna concentric structure, valid, purifying, pointing towards deeper forms. Then next one is the Tapo Yajna. Tapas, which is called the austerity, or the discipline. So tapas yajna is the yajna of austerity. By doing austerity, you are doing a yajna. The offering of physical and mental discomfort as oblation. It is a typical Vedic way of doing that. It is Krishra, Charandarayanam, Upavas, etc. Exposure to heat and cold, Panjagni tapas, that is another form of it. Standing on one leg, maintaining difficult postures, classical forms of tapas as conscious self-mortification in pursuit of spiritual purification. They believe that by doing that, they are purifying their sins. The triple dimensions of tapas, elaborated, it will come in the 17th chapter, 14 to 16 verse. Sharira tapas, bodily austerity, that purity, straightforwardness, satyamasteyam, the brahmacharyam, etc., non-violence. Vak tapas, the truth, pleasant, beneficial speech, study of shastra, etc. And manasika tapas, or the mental austerity, of mental serenity, mental gentleness, silence, self-control, purity of intention. All this comes under this. As yajna, a tapaswin, or one who is offering this, offers the comfort and the ease of the body, mind, as matter into the fire of disciplined discomfort, burning away the attachment, asakti, towards the body and the mind, or the contents of the mind that are anchored bodily for body comfort seeking. Tapo yajna is the fire of self-offering through voluntary hardship, offering the sukha asakti, attachment to comfort, as oblation. This tapo yajna connects to jnana tapas. Pudat jnana tapasa, purified by the austerity of knowledge. Jnana tapasa. So that is coming in the 19th verse, we saw that. And 27th verse, Jnana Deepita also was mentioned, the fire of knowledge. When tapas is kindled by jnana, it is no longer a bodily discipline, but a genuine yajna that burns karma bija, and without jnana, tapas produces siddhi and punya. If the knowledge is not accompanied by this tapas for the thing, they result in siddhis, means some special achievement by, you can go to different planes yourself, or you can, become small or become big. Ashtasiddhis, which are all called Anima, Mahima, Garima, Lakima, Ishittum, Vasittum. All those things are the 8 type of siddhis are being listed in the Shastras. So if it is not accompanied by jnana, the tapas produces a result of siddhi and punya, but remains antavat phala, because they are all with the body. They also perish, and they are related to that. Sometimes the body becomes weak, the siddhi also perishes, and siddhi, then body cannot do the siddhis. But with jnana, the same tapas, instead of producing siddhi, it will become a Brahma Karma Samadhi. Then the third one is, which is listed in the sloka, is the Yoga Yajna. The Yajna of Yoga. Here yoga refers primarily to the discipline of Chitta Vritti Nirodha, which is there in the Ashtanga Yoga also. The systematic practices of dharana, concentration, dhyana, meditation, samadhi, absorption. So dharana, dhyana, samadhi, concentration, meditation and absorption, through which the movements of the chitta are progressively stilled. This is the Chittavritti Nirodham of Patanjali. Broadly speaking, any sustained yoga discipline, whether it is the Hatha Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Nada Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, any of these things, these are all systematic sadhanas that work upon the Andakarana through sustained and disciplined practice. As a yajna, the yogi offers activities of chitta and its vrittis, modifications, sankalpas, intentions, vasanas, tendencies. All of them are offered into the fire, sustained by the yoga discipline. Each sitting of dhyana is an oblation. So dhyana is oblation. Each vritti that arises and is returned to the focus of attention is the havis or the oblation offered into the yoga fire. And the yoga can be any one of the earlier yogas. Hatha Yoga, Mantra Yoga, Nada Yoga, Kundalini Yoga, etc. So these sittings are offered into yoga fire and is the most systematically internalized of the three yajnas. Between all the three listed till now, this is the most internalized because it is concentrating on the chittavritti. The offering occurs entirely within the andakarana, in the inner instrument of disciplined awareness. Shankaracharya says that yoga is a yajna as including the Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali, particularly the Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, transcending any single system, any sincere, sustained inner discipline that progressively removes the avarana of avidya through the development of viveka, and the samadhi qualifies as yoga yajna. So even this pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, the end result is mama vatma. It is the same destination. Swadhyaya yajna. Now this moves from the physical body from point of view to a intellectual level. Swadhyaya is actually meaning, swa means self, adhyaya means study. The swadhyaya means a self-study. So the yajna of self-study or scriptural recitation or scriptural readings. This is a primary Vedic meaning has got daily recitation of one's own Veda Shaka, whether you are in the Sama Veda or the Atharvana Veda or Rig Veda or Yajur Veda, that Shaka mantras of daily recitation is a yajna. The Nitya Karma of Veda Dhyayana, that each Dvija Brahmana is enjoyed to perform the very life of the Veda oral tradition, sustained through continuous swadhyaya as living, is a yajna. There is a philosophical meaning of Atma Dhyayana, the study about the self. That is not the Vedic part of it, but here the Swa is meaning Atma, self. Studying Atman through Upanishadic Vichara, through the words of Upanishadic, studying Upanishadic, preaching Upanishadic classes, etc. The Shravana Manana Nididhyasana attached to the Vichara of the Upanishadic, of the Advaitic Vedanta. So as a yajna, swadhyaya yagin, one who does this thing, offers the activity of the vak and manas, his speech and the mind, into the fire of sacred recitation and study. Every mantra recited is an oblation of breath and voice. Every vichara or every thought, session or meditation is an offering of chitta into purifying fire of Shastra Vakya, Swadhyaya Yajna. And this Swadhyaya Yajna is the Vak Tapas and Manas Tapas of scriptural engagement. The oblation of intellectual faculties into the fire of revealed wisdom. Shankaracharya notices that Swadhyaya as Atma Dhyayana is the direct precursor to Jnana Yajna. Or it is through Swadhyaya, hearing of Mahavakya, studying of Upanishads, engaging in Vedantic Manana and Anyonya Prabodhanam, all of them are that Jnana is awakened, which then kindles the Jnana Deepita, the fire of Jnana. Therefore, Swadhyaya Yajna thus bridges the external or formal Dravya Tapas Yoga etc. Yajnas and the purely the Jnana based Jnana Yajna. It is the practice through which Jnana awakens in the practitioner. And then comes the final one, which is called the Jnana Yajna. The Jnana Yajna is the Yajna of knowledge. So what is it different from the Swadhyaya Yajna, Atma Yajna? This is the most important term in this verse, and one that will be singled out in the 33rd verse, Shreyan Dravyamapan Yajnan Yajnana Yajna, as the supreme Yajna of all. The Jnana Yajna is the offering of Jiva's separate identity into the fire of Brahman's non-dual recognition. Surrendering the ego of the Jiva into the Brahma Havi or Brahmagni. It is a self-immolation of avidya in the fire of jnana about the Brahman Atman. This is not merely Swadhyaya. It is not studying leading towards jnana, but jnana itself as an oblation. Please understand the difference between the two. Swadhyaya is study offered or into the fire of jnana. But here, jnana itself as oblation. The aparoksha anubhava, in which the sense of separatedness of the selfhood as an independent jiva dissolves into the recognition of Brahman's non-duality, resulting in Aham Brahmasmi. Therefore, Jnana Yajna is structurally identical to the Brahma Yajna. Brahmana Hudam Brahma Agno, offered by Brahman into the fire of Brahman. When Jnana, recognition that the offerer is Brahman, is the oblation and the Brahman fire is the recipient. The distinction between the offerer, offering and the fire dissolves. This is the Jnana Yajna offering. The Jnana offering itself into Jnana. The ultimate self-referential Yajna that was anticipated in the verse number 25. Yajne neva upajivati. Upajihvati, that was that. In the through Yajna only this upajihvanam happens. Jnana Yajna does not require any external instrument, dravya, any physical discipline, no tapas, any formal technique, no yoga, hatha yoga, no tapas, or any verbal activity like swadhyaya, reading or chanting, etc. It is purely the direct recognition of Atman as Brahman, which constitutes the fire, the fuel, the oblation, and the destination simultaneously. This is why the 33rd verse declares it as Shreyan, the most superior of all the yajnas. It is the yajna that requires no external apparatus. because it is Brahman's own self-recognition. Now, who are the people doing this? Yatayaha samsita vrataha. The practitioners, Yatayaha. Yati means coming from yam, dhatu, is to restrain or discipline. So yati means one who has restrained or one who has disciplined himself. The restrained ones, the sannyasis, the ascetics, who have achieved through self-discipline. Yati is the technical term for a renunciate. Sannyasi who has formally taken sannyasa, not the dress of a sannyasi alone, but who lives in the spirit of complete vairagya and inner restraint. The yatayaha, plural, are the practitioners of all 5 yajna types enumerated in this verse. They are human agents in the form of yajna vistara, which becomes actual. Therefore, Shankaracharya notes that yati indicate the inner restraint, antakarana samyama, rather than merely external renunciation, dravya tyaga. One can be a formal sannyasi without being a true yati. If inner karma and kartrutva abhimana is not gone, one can live as a householder and be a true yati if there is inner restraint is complete. It is not the external dress or external methodology of living or showing. It is an inner restraint which is being referred here. The yataya are those who have achieved this inner condition, described across karma sankalpa varjita, karma phalatyaga, nirashihi, yadachittatma in all the previous verses, regardless of which ashrama they belong to, whether they are brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha or sannyasi. Samsita vrataha. The word samsita means to sharpen, to hone, to a fine, sharp, needle-sharp point. Vrataha means vow, commitment or disciplined undertaking. So samsita vrataha means when they two together, those whose vows are sharpened or those of the keen, intense commitment. Sita, samsita, sita. There the sita is like a blade sharpened, thoroughly honed, brought into a fine edge. Dhara, Shurasya Dhara, we have heard about it. Samsrita Vrata are those who have commitment has been sharpened or keenest point. Those spiritual discipline is not casual or intermittent but intensively focused, continuously maintained. That's the most important part. That is where the keenest point comes. Brought to the sharpest possible edge of commitment. A commitment is only a commitment when it is continuous. Other it is not a commitment. Shankaracharya reads Samsita Vrata as the essential qualification that makes the enumerated yajnas genuine rather than nominal. Any of the 5 yajnas can be performed superficially without the inner nishta, where the inner is most important. The Samsita Vrata practitioner brings the complete commitment to their chosen yajna, and the discipline is sharpened, not blunt, not half sharpened. This connects to the jnana deepita, or the fire kindled by the fire of jnana. Sorry. The Samsita Vrata sharpens the sadhana to the point where Jnana can kindle the genuine fire within the individual. So the combination of yataha, samsrita vrataha, characterizes the ideal practitioner of 5 yajnas. Internally restrained yati, the totally committed samsita vrataha. This is the adhikari for whom yajnas vistara teachings are intended. Not for a casual observer, but a genuinely engaged spiritual practitioner at whatever level of adhikara they are currently occupying. The 5 yajnas forming ascending characteristic is yajnas is dravya yajna, primary instrument is material substance. What is offered is wealth, food, possessions, and it is the level is external material level. Then comes the tapas yajna. The primary instrument for tapas yajna is the body-mind discipline. What is being offered is the comfort, ease and pleasure at the body-mind level. This is still physical and it is vital level. Materials offered are vital. Yoga yajna, the inner technique of chittavritti. What is offered are chittavritti and mental activities. This is a psychological level yajna. Then the 4th one is the swadhyaya yajna. At the speech and intellect, mano-vak. The verbal and intellectual activity at the mind and the intellectual level. And jnana yajna is the culmination of the pure recognition, atmanubhava or aparokshanubhava. What is being offered is the avidya or the separatedness, anyatva. It becomes ananya at the paramarthika level. So the ascent follows the Advaitic layer structure of Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. At the Annamaya Kosha, food sheath level, the dravyas are offered. At the Pranamaya level, it is the tapas of prana, prane, jihvati. At the Manomaya level is the mental of the yoga. All those things. Manovak. Vijnanamaya is the intellectual level where the swadhyaya and the Upanishadic vichara etc. is being done. At the Anandamaya level or Atma level is the recognition that Aham Brahmasmi is the Jnana. The Yajna Vistara thus structured as a systematic inner preparation through the Panchakoshas, each Yajna offering the activity that kosha into fire, progressively removing the kosha identification until the Anandamaya kosha or the Atman, self-luminous Atman, stands revealed as the sole reality. Brahmaiva tena gandhavyam. That is the crowning insight when all 5 yajnas converge. When dravya, you have no mamata. In tapas, you have no shuka asakti or the attachment for the pleasures. In the yoga yajna, you have no chittavritti. So chittavritti nirodha takes place. In the swadhyaya, the full jnana preparation by reading and discussion, Upanishadic vichara, etc. take place. And at the jnana level, a direct recognition or the aparokshanubhava are simultaneously present in the samsita vrata yati, in the yati who has done all this and matured himself into Aham Brahmasmi realization. This convergence is nothing other than the complete Brahma Karma Samadhi, in which all elements of Brahman are and all Brahma is dissolving all karma samagram prevalente. With this, the conceptual catalog reaches at its most comprehensive form. The 5 yajna types spanning the entire spectrum from external offering to direct jnana, recognition, practiced by yatayaha samsrita vrataha, who are keenly committed and internally restrained. Those spiritual practitioners who are adhikaris for the entire teaching. This confirms no genuine spiritual practice is excluded from the yajna. Since every offering at every level, there is an adhikari for it. And he participates in the Brahma Karma Samadhi, providing jnana kindling of the 27 and the Samsita Vrata commitment of the 28. The Yajna Vistara now turns into its most physiological specific section, 29 and 30, where pranayama and the offering of prana into prana will demonstrate that even breath itself is a vehicle for Brahma Karma Samadhi. The Bhashya readings are like this. Dravya yajna tirteshu dravya viniyogam yajna buddhya kurvanti yete dravya yajna. Those who make use of material resources in the sacred places with an attitude of sacrifice, they are dravya yajna or material sacrificers. Tapo yajna, tapaha yajna yesham te. Tapasvinam te tapo yajna. Those ascetics for whom austerity itself is a sacrifice. They are austerity sacrificers. Tapo yajna. Yoga yajna. Pranayama pratyahara lakshanaha yogaha yajnaha yeshante yoga yajnaha. Those for whom yoga, characterized by the practices such as pranayama and sense of withdrawal, is itself a sacrifice or yoga sacrifice yajna. Tata apare swadhyaya jnana yajnaha cha. And the others are devoted to the sacrifice in the form of scriptural recitation and knowledge. Swadhyayaha yadhaviti rigadi abhyasaha yajnaha yeshante swadhyaya yajna. Those who proper recitation and study of Rigveda etc. and other Vedas as a sacrifice are study sacrifices or swadhyayas yajnas. Jnana yajnaha. Jnanam shastrartha parijnanam yajnaha yeshante jnana yajnaha cha. Those for whom knowledge, the understanding of meaning of scripture is the sacrifice or knowledge sacrifice of jnana yajna. Yataha yatana shilaha. They are the disciplined strivers devoted to effort. Samsita vrataha samyak shitani tanu kritani titiksha kritani vratani yeshante samsita vrataha. They are of well sharpened those who of servants have been properly refined, thinned and made keen. So the insight is every authentic sadhana is a sacrifice of the false identity as a jiva. Some offer wealth, some offer comfort, some breath, some speech, some concept, but the highest offers is the ignorance itself, and that is jnana yajna. The various seekers perform different sacrifice through material giving, austerity, yogic discipline, scriptural recitation, knowledge, and all that practices are valid forms. Mama vartma anuvartande manushya partha sarvashaha are the sacred offerings. Though they are implicitly arranged in an ascending order from the Annamaya Kosha to the Anandamaya Kosha, order culminating in the knowledge at the Anandamaya level, which alone leads to liberation. So the final Anandamaya is the identification of the ego with the self. The ego doesn't have a separate entity. It is that self aware of the self for a fraction of a second, for a minute, when it was forgotten, that self itself became the ego. Now the ego re-identifies. He gains his lost heaven or lost, paradise, going back to his own source. That is the verse number 28. Now 29 onwards now descends the more intimate philosophical yajna of the prana, offering the vital breath there, where the cosmic, sensory, psychological, categorical, all type of yajna arrives at the breath, most fundamental and continuous activity of the living organism. And this reveals too as a yajna. The description is 2 practices and then names them in a common framework. Prana into apana, apana into prana. Restraining both pranayama. So, in that verse number 29, philosophically significant precisely because it demonstrates universality of yajna. Down to the most automatic, most involuntary level of existence, our regular breathing is a yajna. If even the breath, which occurs without volition, which continues during even deep sleep and throughout all our activity, it can be a yajna. Then the yajna vistara central claim is fully established. No level of existence, no domain of activity, no moment of life is outside the framework of yajna. So we will see how the 29th verse is handling this yajna of our regular non-volitional breathing as yajna. We'll see it tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyawad.
Thank you very much, Mandoji. I've opened the chat and hand raising if there is any follow-up questions or discussion points.
Namaste Rajesh. Namaste Srini.
No. Namaste Prakash.
Yeah.
My question is here, like this prana to apana, apana to prana, this is basically the Kriya Yoga Yajna. Okay. Do we have any explanation, like detailed explanation in Gita regarding this Kriya Yoga?
Not as Kriya Yoga, but we have the prana to apana and apana to prana. Yajna, which will come in tomorrow's class.
Okay. So detail is the prana to apana, apana
yes.
to prana.
Yes. How is to be done, how we, but we don't call it as a Kriya Yoga. It's a new term developed by the, what you call, the Paramahamsa.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mandoji. Tomorrow we'll see.
Thank you, Rajesh. Yeah. Namaste, Srini.
Namaste, Binduji. Binduji, one question I wanted to ask was, so whenever in these few verses this Jnana Deepita is being referred, this is not necessarily Atma Jnana, right? This is Jnana about Shama, Yoga, all those things, right? So it's a supplementary Jnana to do Karma Yoga. Is that the right understanding?
No. Jnana Deepita is the culmination. Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute. That karma, all karmas are burned in that Jnana Yagni, is shifting you from a karta to akarta, doer to non-doer. That what makes you from today's doer of even the bodily activities of pranayama, etc., prana, etc. Even that becomes a non-action when you become the non-doer. The non-doership, akartrutva, is a result of Jnana Deepita.
It's still a forced non-doership, right? Like you're differentiating between that, what is the
No,
word you're
it is
using?
that is
Yeah,
no.
you're differentiating between a jnani's non-doership and a sadhaka's non-doership, right, Bindoji, throughout. No, what was
Jnana,
the word?
that sadhaka becomes a jnani when the Jnana Deepita happens. Until then, he is a sadhaka.
Yeah. So then, whenever this yatana and all these things are described, and this is for the sadhaka, so in that context, the jnana deepita is not being used, is it? Then, for example, the jnana like for example,
there
the
Jnana
Indriyas.
Deepita will be the culmination of Jnana Yatna. The culmination of Jnana Yatna is in the Jnana Deepita.
Because, for example, if we say your indriyas are, use your indriyas in the yajna or like those things which are being explained, that is also jnana only, right? But that is essentially different from atma jnana, right?
Yes, that is vritti jnana.
So that vritti jnana is also required to like you are talking about sharpening the practice or something, right? So for that, also there is a certain jnana deepita required, but it is like a jnana of yajna, indriya yajna, or what is that, meditation yajna. All these yajnas are essentially that they are different from the atma jnana deepita. That's what I was thinking.
Right. See, I'll tell you an example, Srini. Fire is there everywhere. Only thing is the condition has not been met. Everything, anything in this world is a fuel from the point of view of Agni, a fire. Even an iron ball or an iron rod will burn when it is the right condition is there. In the same way, the earth, which is a volcano, and everything, sun, moon, all of them can burn. There is nothing which is outside what cannot be burned. Now, if you can consider this example as a method for the practices, when will it become a fire? Only when it meets the fire which can transfer the fire onto this. A log of wood cannot be burning unless it is in contact with fire. Same way, all these practices what we are talking about will meet with Jnana Deepita when the individual, the ego or the jiva surrenders and realizes that I am nothing but Atma. Aham Brahmasmi. When it happens, that is the fire and the two becoming one. There then the fire is separate or the firewood is separate will not be there. Because the fire and the firewood will be seen together, or the iron ball and the fire will not be seen separately.
Yeah, Binduji, totally agree. So the reason why I was thinking like this is because in one of the classes we talked about a wet wood and a dry wood also, right? So that kind of thing. And another thing is in the whole sequence of karma yoga, now we talked about description and prescription also. So I think in my view what I'm thinking is the last few shlokas, they are descriptions, whereas the actual prescription is karma yoga only, right? Because this jnana is a supplementary jnana to perform, to fine tune your karma yoga.
Yes.
Correct, right? And then the real jnana deepika, what we are talking about, is the atma jnana. So this jnana in that way is slightly essentially different from the atma jnana, right?
Right. Atma jnana is the identity.
Yeah. Because I was just trying to construct the whole sequence from third chapter to whatever we are learning, and just that feels like
you will know that in the next tomorrow's class, when it is being told that even our non-volitional breathing which we are doing consciously, unconsciously, and everything is itself is a yajna from the point of view that it is in Brahman.
Yes, that is
So
the
that
epitome
nothing
of
is external.
that will be the epitome of karma yoga, right? When you are the non-volitional breathing is also recognized as yajna. That will be the
Yes.
most sharpened point of karma yoga, I would guess, something like that.
Right. We'll see.
Beautiful, Binduji. Thank you. Very nice explanation.
Yeah.
Very
Thank you.
enjoyable. Actually, the technical things you told at the beginning of the class, I enjoyed even more. They are I like such kind of technical details. So beautiful.
Yeah. See, the thing is that if you had just read the Shankara Bhashya as such and given the output, it would have been so boring. The intricacies which are given in some of the sub-commentaries are so much that they add value to Shankara's statement. That is where the whole thing gets elevated to a different level altogether.
Yes, Binduji. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Srini. Okay, so we will meet tomorrow, Prakash.
Okay, Binduji. So, yeah, we'll reconvene here at 8:30 p.m. IST for the 25th class or room on chapter 4. The replays, again, as I had mentioned earlier, should be. But if you want to go catch up on the previous ones, you can also go to Advaita Retool channel. As always, thanks to everyone for coming and attending these sessions, keeping this room alive. And as always, fully grateful to Binduji for meticulously offering this to us, as always. Thank you. Over to you, Binduji, to close the room.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Rajesh and Srini, for your questions. And thank you all of you for being there, listening. We'll continue to pranayama tomorrow at the same time. See you all tomorrow. Hari Om. Good night.
Good night. Hari Om.